Hey everyone, I wanted to make a quick Holosmith basic rotation guide because there has been a growing interest in Power Holosmith in the guild the past couple weeks, and I thought it would be nice to share what I've been running so far. So for gear, we have exactly what you'd expect from a power class. We have full Berserker gear with Scholar runes, and our rifle has a Force and Air sigil. For our trait lines, we are bringing down, middle, middle in explosives. We are bringing down, up, middle in firearms, and down, middle, and down in Holosmith. The only time we trade pinpoint distribution for no scope is if our subgroup has absolutely no other Condi classes. Otherwise, always take pinpoint. Photonic Blasting Module is an important trait to get acquainted with beforehand, as it deals a ton of damage, but it also deals a fair amount of damage to us. I do my DPS testing slightly different than most people. What I usually like to do is go ahead and apply every boon and profession-specific buff to myself. I know this isn't particularly realistic, but you probably won't have things like the Rev buff, Storm Spirit, or all three banners, but it gives me a baseline to easily test all of my classes. For this build, you want to be running Sweet and Spicy Butternut Squash and Fruitcake or Potent Sharpening Stones, which are exactly the same. But I will not be applying food for this test because squash is up to over a gold 30 right now, which is pretty ridiculous. But some cheaper alternatives you can use instead are Orion steak fritters, truffle steak, and fireflake steak. So for the Golem, all I apply to the Golem is 25 stacks of vulnerability and an extreme defiance bar so that our big ol' bomb doesn't knock him all over the place. The reason I only apply 25 Vuln is so that our results don't become bloated from modified ammunition. Modified ammunition applies 2% extra damage for every condition on the foe. So if you apply every condition to the Golem, you're basically giving yourself an extra 10 to 15% extra baseline damage, and often that won't be the case. Sometimes you get lucky and have a group that applies a ton of condition, but in most cases you won't. Alright, so we have a completely average Golem set up, average Golem with average health. And before I jump in there, I'm going to give you a quick rundown of our most damaging abilities, the abilities you want to be hitting as much as possible. And those are Big Ol' Bomb, Grenade Barrage, Blade Burst, Blunderbuss, Jump Shot, Fire Bomb, Shrapnel Grenade, Freeze Grenade, Poison Grenade, Laser Disc, and Prime Light Beam. We only use Blade Burst, Laserdisc, and Prime Light Beam above 50% heat, and in Photon Forge we want to be hitting Corona Burst and Photon Blitz twice for each time we go into Forge. So our rotation looks something like this. It is Big Ol' Bomb into Bomb Kit 2, into Grenade Kit 2, and Grenade Kit 4, and Grenade Kit 5, and Grenade Barrage, and Blunderbuss. And then after Blunderbuss we enter Photon Forge. We use Photon Blitz and Corona Burst off cooldown, Blade Bursting at 50% heat. After our heat reaches max, we use Laserdisc and Prime Light Beam. And then followed by all of our high priority skills when Photon Forge is on cooldown. So Blunderbuss, Jump Shot, Bomb 2, Grenade 2, 4, 5, and we finish with Bomb Autos until Forge is back up again. And then we just rinse and repeat. The numbers you see here are actually slightly ridiculous and off because the DPS meter had time intervals as short as 5 seconds, but you can see the incredible burst potential of Holosmith here.
Thermal release. Activating hard light emitter.
But let's get some more realistic numbers. Usually you don't see numbers like this every time. So same exact setup, same Golem, same everything. Alright, so here we go again. First of all, for all these tests, I'm not looking to set up benchmarks. I'm just looking to establish what our highest priority skills are and try to hit them as much as possible. I will absolutely be making mistakes here and there, and you should never feel obligated to nail your rotation perfectly every single encounter. Mechanics will absolutely force interruptions. We want to save things like Big Ol' Bomb and Prime Light Beam and Holographic Shockwave for encounters with important breaks, for example, even if we lose a bit of DPS. And we don't want to detonate Photon Forge if we are low on health, and Jump Shot can always be used as mobility instead of damage, for example.
Levels critical.
Now the numbers you're seeing here are far closer to what I see on average. Anywhere in the 27, 26k to 29k range is exactly where you want to be, and is manageable in most fights is the important part. If you nail the rotation and do more, fantastic. If not, at the very least, remember to bomb kit auto. Playing a great Holosmith can take some pretty high APM, but playing a decent Holosmith is mostly straightforward. Hit your important skills and use Forge, being mindful of what happens when you reach 100% heat.
Too hot. Temperature north. Hologram projector engaged. Here's where things get hot. We can't take any more heat. Heat level 0.